All right, everybody, I've got 6:31. We'll call the regular meeting in the common council to order. We'll start with roll call, please.
Seth,
Here.
AJ,
Here.
Todd Kirking,
Here.
Emma will not be here, Todd Spaeth,
Here.
Cindy. Here. John,
Here.
Tanya. Here. Steve
Here.
and Justin.
Here, Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Item 2 is approval of the February 24th, 2026 regular council minutes.
Make a motion to approve the February 24th minutes.
It's AJ, I'll second.
We got a motion, and a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Item number 3, council announcements. Anybody have anything that they'd wish to bring up? All right. Item number 4 then would be the first period for public comment. So if you'd like to make a public comment, now's the time. Come up to the podium there. I don't know if is the mic on up there, Nate? Come up to the podium, state your name, your address, and we usually try to keep public comment to about 3 minutes per person. So.
Hi, everyone. Deb Miller, 1104 Rogers. I'm asking a formal request that the Common Council convince Running Inc. to recontract with ADR, Inclusa, and Iris for cap cards for elderly disabled people. I believe this is a valuable service in the community. Medical transport doesn't always cover just quick transportation, and they're not available for quick notice. I'm just whatever Running Inc. needs to be able to make this happen. I yield back.
Thanks, Deb. Anybody else? Anybody online?
We got a few folks online, Mayor, but it doesn't look like anybody wants to make a public comment at this time, so I think you're good to go.
All right. Move on to item number 5 then, which is a public hearing on Sand. Is that right? Yes. Public hearing on Sands Road closed landfill gas mitigation system and potential USDA rural development grant/loan assistance for the project. It's 6:35. We'll open the public hearing.
It looks like Sarah wants to do a bit of a preamble conversation ahead of taking any public comments, if that's okay with you, Mayor. And then it looks like
Absolutely.
Mike as well is online. This
Yeah.
would give the public a chance to hear a little bit more information, and then we would welcome them to make comment.
Yeah, we're going to do just a very short presentation so that we can make sure everybody knows what we're talking about here.
And Sarah, can you hear me?
We certainly can. No, loud and clear today, actually, Mike. Louder than
Okay,
normal. But I think we're good. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is our first public hearing for the Sands Road Closed Landfill Gas Mitigation Project. And we we'll likely have others when we get to closer to actually doing some construction, but this is sort of the initial that goes along with our USDA application. So just as make sure everybody is on the background of how we got here. So this site originated as a town dump in the 60s. It was expanded to the west side prior to 1982. And then there was changes to the laws that said, you know what, these dumps really can't be dumps anymore. They have to be landfills. And so the state went through and they encouraged communities that didn't have facilities that were true landfills to start closing the landfills that they had. That's when we started seeing the Vernon County landfill. So we weren't the only ones that did this. And in 1992, we stopped accepting waste at that facility. And then the landfill was formally closed with a clay cap. There was surface water controls and then a passive gas system. Those are the vents that we see out there right now. And then we came to 2025. Nothing really happened from that point of 92 until 2025. And there was gas, very low levels, but still discovered in the church near the landfill. And then we started figuring out why. And so that started us looking at how the landfill was dealing with the gas. It was supposed to be using those passive vent controls. And unfortunately, gas wasn't being seen in those vents at all the locations. And so then we started realizing as we went through more and more things that there was gas migrating from the landfill site. So we've installed temporary controls and we've been working through solutions. We are required by the DNR. We are not allowed to just say, you know what? We don't want to deal with it. The DNR says, nope, you need to deal with it. You need to deal with it quickly. And so that was when we had our original notice that we had 30 days to remedy the solution or come up with a solution. And then obviously that kind of thing doesn't happen overnight. So they were happy that we were working on the process. So that's where we're at right now. It is not something we can wait forever for. So this is where we often find some challenges with this, is that we don't have an unlimited amount of time to decide. The DNR wants us to keep moving forward. And so we're not able to say, wait for another 2 years to get a grant that we're looking for example. We're still working on looking at financing, but that's not the only consideration. Let's see, come on. There we go. So what have we done up to now? We installed another passive gas that was more of like an interceptor. It was 225 foot along the eastern side of the landfill near that church where we saw that there was gas. And it has, the original one did reduce the methane concentrations, but it wasn't doing enough so that offsite we weren't seeing it. We added a blower onto the probes in that area, which has really helped us get to the regulatory limit, but that's not a long-term solution. That's just keeping things good where they are at the moment. And so we have been watching what's happening and trying to find out what the new solution is. So initially we were doing daily testing. I was out there every day of the weekday, collecting samples at the 7 probes that were on the east side. And now we're doing weekly sampling on all 26 probes. So what does that look like? This is a zoomed out version, but all of those highlighted areas, those are all of our probes. And this was sort of some of our initial sampling that we got. And so you can see like green was okay. Yellow was over the limit, but not that high. And then orange is greater than 20%, which means that it's, migration is happening. So I got it zoomed in a little bit just so you can see this is East Landfill was that original landfill location, and the gas monitoring that we have in the church buildings there. We also, so we had that trench that we installed for 225 feet, but then we also, if you can see, I guess I could have zoomed even more, this GV5, we also did some excavating there to see what we could find, because we were seeing things that you wouldn't expect to see if we were at the edge of the waste when we built that trench. And what we did find was what Mike was anticipating because of how the data was coming in, that there was waste outside of the landfill in that location. All right, I am going to turn it over to Mike to talk about where we're going.
Okay, so this is Mike Amstead with TRC. It's an environmental corporation that is helping the city out. We looked at several alternatives to deal with offsite migration. The first one was just to look at what would it take if we just picked up all the waste and we moved it to another landfill. And based on the estimated quantities that we had and transportation tipping fees, you're looking at somewhere in the 65 to $100 million. So that's not a viable option. But it's one of the first things that people always say is, why don't you just move it? So we looked at that. We looked at a passive system. We already installed the 225 feet, and this passive system would have been installing many, many more gas vents, which are basically a way for the landfill to breathe passively through the final cover. We were proposing about 180 vents for the two landfills in total, going down about 30 feet vertically into the waste. And that was about $1.6 million to do that. But based on the fact that the existing passive gas system has not accomplished its goal, the trench didn't accomplish its goal, and even when we put gas vent 5 right by the property line, we were still, if we weren't actively pulling on the gas probes, we were still getting gas at the property line. So whether it's 10%, 20%, the probability of a passive system working, I guesstimated that it's going to be less than 30%. So then if the passive system didn't work, then you'd have to go to the active anyways. And the dollars basically add on to each other, not 100%, because some of the passive system you could use, but not all of it. So out of that 180 vents, you'd only be using about 43 to 64. So you'd be wasting money on putting vents in that you wouldn't use in the active system. The active system consists of 43 to 64 wells that will be connected by a header pipe and laterals to a blower, basically a giant vacuum that will discharge, which will pull a vacuum on the landfill, causing the gas to go into the header pipe and out through the blower out a vent pipe, which if the gas is rich enough, it'll burn. Otherwise, it'll be just released to the atmosphere. And the cost on that was between 2.2 and $2.5 million. And the active system will have annual cost for the electricity and maintenance of the machinery, and right now that's estimated at about $30,000 to $50,000 annually. So what we have here is the east and west landfill in the middle of the page. The red line is, and this is all preliminary right now, the red line is the header system that is connected. If you can see kind of in the middle, there's one blue blower, whether there's going to be one or two, but the perimeter will be surrounded by a header system both on the east and west landfill, and there'll be laterals that go off of that main header line to individual wells, and each well, depending on how much gas is in the area can be adjusted to either increase or decrease the amount of vacuum that's being placed on any individual area. And basically, this is kind of the proposed system that we're planning on. And as far as the header or all the piping will be underground except for at the wells. And at the wells, there'll be some black plastic pipe that comes out of the ground. That'll be probably about 5 feet up everywhere that there's a little blue circle there. And then at the blower, depending on what happens there, the flare or the stack, that will be in the neighborhood of 20 feet up in the air. A pipe that goes about 20 feet up in the air. And you can see all the white little dashes along the outside. Those are all the gas probes that we've installed since the beginning. And the ultimate goal is everywhere that there's a gas probe to get a reading of 0 methane. So the active system should pull the gas, maintain it inside the landfill, pull it into the extraction wells, and then vent it to the atmosphere at the flare.
So I think that's the last slide I had. At this point, we can certainly ask questions if we have any questions, or if we just want to turn it over and have any public comment if there is any.
Sarah, if maybe you could go through, like, the action item for tonight is to have the potential USDA rural development grant loan assistance, and this public hearing was a result of pursuing those. Can you just maybe share a little bit about that, and then we can open it up?
Yeah. So I'm working through the application process with the USDA right now. The USDA would be able to provide us with a loan. The idea is going through this application should be able to justify some type of subsidized interest. And that's the process that we're going through right now. So the application to the USDA is just letting people know that we're going to be applying and looking for funding. The USDA process does sometimes have grant funding, but the current level of funding for grants right now is just not there. So, I mean, we may end up getting something small, but it would be negligible in comparison to the cost that we have. So I'm trying to get that in as soon as possible.
I guess this is a question for Mike probably, but
Okay.
I just wanted to ask the operational cost per year. Can you give us an estimate on how many years this might need to run, or what's the best case, what's the worst case scenario?
It is very hard to say if you want to put it in best case, worst case. Maybe 5 years would be best case, but that probability is very low. 20 years is probably more realistic.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any public have anything? All right, we can go ahead and close the public hearing then at 6:50. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
We'll move on then to item number 6. Thanks, Mike. Which is update and possible action on congressional directed spending program grant applications.
Sarah, do you want to start on this?
Sure. So we have 2 opportunities for getting this congressionally directed spending. Essentially, it's appropriations money. This is what we kind of makes it easy to understand. We have Van Orden's office and Baldwin's office will both put in projects. And so they take basically like a grant agency. They take applications in. They have a wide range of possible like funding types. So if you fit a traditional funding that's already out there, sort of funnels you into one grant program or another. But what makes this better than the standard is that it doesn't get into the details of like for example, USDA often will have at least 2 different grants through them, one for the water side, one for the sewer side, and they don't worry about that as much. They are just funding the program where it best fits. So there's a number of different federal funding programs that you can apply for through them. And so essentially they go through a list and they say, I want to put forward these 10, 12, whatever they're allowed to fund projects. And so that's what we used for Chicago Avenue. We ended up having, it was great for us in the end. I mean, we applied for that. It took a really long time. That's one thing about these is they do take a long time typically to process. But we were able to apply through the EPA and we ended up getting a cost share waiver. And we thought we were going to spend $300,000 on that project, which was still great. And we ended up spending less than $100,000. So it worked out really well for us. The fire station is another great example. Typically, you wouldn't have got $5 million. That was, something that makes these opportunities unique. So Nate and I have been working about trying to figure out what we believe makes sense to apply for each of these different entities like Baldwin and Van Orden's office. They have different priorities and preferences. And so one of them was actually due on Monday. So we went and did use our best judgment of what people were what Van Orden's office, it was Van Orden's, what they were looking for in terms of projects. We threw a couple ideas out there. So obviously, we just finished talking about the landfill. That was the first thing that came to mind, but the timing, again, it just doesn't work. So, Nate and I speaking about it, like, what's the best strategy here? And the best strategy was, well, let's try to get as much money to take this capital improvement plan list and find money that we would have normally been putting for these other projects. How can we get funding for them? And so that kind of offsets the costs that we're seeing at the landfill. So when in speaking with Van Orden's office, they are very supportive of water quality projects, emergency services, so fire and police, and then sort of environmental street projects. And so looking at the list, we thought that it made sense to put the fire department, the engine forward, and Nate can talk more about that because he put that one forward. And then I worked on the remaining portions of West South Street. So for those of you on the Public Works Committee, you've certainly heard me talk about West South Street and how do we make that work. So what we went through is myself and Matt really sat down, and Greg, trying to figure out like what makes the most sense here. And it made most sense to take the portion that was water, sewer, and road all together, which was the far west side of the project, and apply for that. Originally, we were considering not doing that and doing the other direction, but when we looked closer at the far end of West South Street, we realized that we didn't need to modify as much right away as we thought. So we also had that, and that was our 1 and 2 ranked projects. And then we need to look forward to Baldwin because we have not had to apply for that one yet. Their priorities are a little bit different. She is less interested in fire department in Viroqua because she gave a really, really nice grant just this last go round, right? So they were more interested. Greg Wabernick, who's who I spoke with, they said that what they're not having a lot of is like a road kind of project and more environmental things. So I also, besides the 2 projects we talked about, I'm really interested in finding funding for our lift station project. We know it's $1.5 million to do this lift station, and we know we need to do it soon. And that is all entirely on the sewer utilities' shoulders. So do you want to talk a little bit about the fire station or the fire?
Yeah, so the 2019 through 2024 capital improvement plan did include procurement of a new fire engine. That project was deferred to hopefully the next capital improvement plan because the fire station was not thought about in 2019. We didn't realize that was a need for our community until probably closer to 2021. And so because we were lucky enough to receive the grant through Baldwin's office. It sort of escalated the fire station ahead of the fire engine. Fire station local share cost the city around $2.3 million. And so just in order to manage all the capital projects that were coming in, the cost, the fire engine got deferred. But it's replacement time is more than come, and we need to keep on a schedule. That's potentially a $950,000 project, and is one of our larger capital projects. So again, as Sarah said, the name of the game here is to find the biggest projects we have, the most expensive projects we have, to try to maximize dollar amounts that essentially would then indirectly offset all the money we're having to spend on the landfill, since we can't go out for a grant for the landfill directly because of timing. So to Sarah's point, and sort of in summary, Van Orden's grant was due on Monday. We had very little time to react. This whole thing that came together in less than 2 weeks, and we just didn't have time to bring it to council because it was due yesterday. So myself and Sarah, and I did communicate with all the department heads on kind of what our plan of attack was, because again, more money we get, more money it leaves for other projects through our capital improvement plan, and talked with the mayor and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. And we did it. And so that part for Van Orden's is just kind of an update of we had to get our hat in the ring for something. And then specifically for Baldwin's office, as Sarah noted, it's the lift station and the west-south street reconstruction project that are number 1 and 2 respectively. And we're just looking for the blessing from the council to submit those by next week.
The 24th, I think it is, actually.
So a lot of things happening, all very quickly, but if all goes well, we could be seeing potentially $2.5 million in grants. And so we would be foolish not to go after these. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. We've been very lucky going after these congressionally directed spending amounts in the past. And so every year it gets more competitive as more and more communities get wind of how beneficial these grant programs are to fund things that don't naturally have other external funding sources. So that's the long and short of it.
Thank you. So you're just looking for a motion to essentially,
Submit the
yeah,
covered projects for Baldwin grant.
got it.
Cindy, I'd make a motion that we go ahead with, Sarah, go ahead with Baldwin appropriation grant as requested, as specified.
I don't second it.
All right, got a motion, a second. Any questions?
Seth, sorry, I was just trying to read Facebook. Did you have something? Oh, okay, I was just trying to read.
Did you need that for the Van Orden one to just recognize that you guys to approve that at all in this motion?
It's already been submitted, so that's more of an update.
Okay.
And if you want to give your blessing that it was okay that we did that's fine as well. But
I just figure as long as there's something that comes back and says, did you get grant approval from the council? You might
Sure.
want to have that in
yeah,
your motion.
retroactive approval would be great.
Can you add that, Cindy?
Yes, that would be fine.
I'll second that too.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Do we have to get, I mean, these grants already, the amounts are already preset? Or do you have to get estimates on these projects and turn the estimates in?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a good question. My reference is on the fire station project, where when we submitted that project, we had a very rough concept plan from ADCI, which was an architecture firm who had done kind of a feasibility study. And at that point, the project was estimated at $7 million. Well, the project ended up being over $9 million. And so we know that whatever we submit here isn't going to be the final price, because for a lot of these things, the lift station is probably a good example. They got to go through a design process to really identify, even the fire engine has a fairly substantial design process for. So that usually comes after we receive notice of grant award, the
okay,
design aspect of it. So that'll come later.
right. So you
We already had estimates for West South Street, so we just refined them and made sure that they were conservative. The lift station is very rough, but we try to pick a good conservative number.
Yeah. And same thing with the fire engine was Chad's latest opinion of probable cost for that, but again, inflation being what it was, and by the time they decide which bells and whistles they want on the engine really makes a difference in terms of what final cost is.
Great. Other questions? All right, got a motion, a second. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Item number 7, review and approval of pay request number 4 for the Hanson Farm project.
All right, last one for me for the evening. Okay, so pay request for, we haven't seen a lot of action for the last couple of weeks, but they were out there working actually on Sunday. I don't know if anybody saw them out there, but I came this morning, I was like, wow, they got a lot done in an hour and a half. There's no way. So long story short, this is a lot of the work prior to now. A lot of it is grading work. So you can see that's why we see these general categories. It's so hard to see the detail here, but here we've got this request line items. A lot of them is like moving black dirt and, topsoil, excavation, and then some bases of our roadways. If you look out there now, they put a lot of sand down and they've started kind of building up some areas. I can even drive on my vehicle out there. Don't do that, anyone else. But it's, I would say, pretty solid for where it's at right now. You don't normally have so much solid base material. They did a little bit of work on the stormwater pond, and it's looking almost like it will in the end. Obviously, the grass and the seeding needs to take. And then, of course, we've broken things out into different categories. So you'll see repeat items. Again, we've got this topsoil and the common excavation, but it's just, we had a number of alternates when we bid it because we wanted to make sure we were getting good prices, essentially, and that we wanted to go forward with the larger project because we had ability to pull back certain spots if we thought we were over budget. And then the one add-on here is that they did do the cut-off trench for the landfill. Let's see, here we are. So this is just the part that was in the stormwater pond. They have finished the other work today. What you see out there above ground is rough. We will put something better out there when those vents are permanent. But in any case, we are looking at this pay request for this number here, $181,599.79. And of course, this came from Public Works as well.
This is Todd. I moved to approve the pay request number 4 for the Hanson Farm project for $181,599.79.
Jail second.
All right, got a motion, a second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Cindy,
Aye.
John, Tanya,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Seth, AJ.
Aye.
Todd Kirking
Aye.
and Todd Spath.
I,
All right, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Item number 8, review and approval of pay request number 5 for the Welcome Center project.
All right, well, while I'm pulling up the pay request, Cindy was gracious enough to provide a quick update on like the work that's going on inside the building to a degree. This pay request, of course, is not reflective of all of that because this is sort of a point in time prior to today, of course. But Cindy, if you want to kind of give everybody a similar update that you did to historic preservation last night.
Happy to talk about the Welcome Center. Since I think we talked last, the plumbing has been pretty much done. They don't have the sinks and toilets and things like that up yet, but the plumbing that needs to happen to do that is in. The cement floor has been poured. That was a holdup for a while because it got so cold so fast, as you recall. So the cement floor is in. Last time they've started putting at the walls so we could make out the different rooms. And then I was in there yesterday and 2 of the rooms are going to have ceilings where you can expose timber, meeting space and the information center. They were staining that yesterday. And the old city hall doors, we've got them all stripped now. I finally took them to Reedsburg and had it done because it wasn't working out where I had taken them. So now Dan, part of the contract was he would sand and stain them. So to match, as close as they can to the ceiling and to the doors that were not painted that we can use. So it's starting to really look like something inside now. I think that's basically what we've done since we talked about it last.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Cindy. So, of course, this particular bill is through February, so there are some more.
There's another version of this that I sent out that
Oh,
has
you
the
did.
certified amount.
Yeah.
There's a separate email that I sent, because this one doesn't have the
Oh, you're right.
certification.
You sent out, I was gonna say, that's right, you did have it. I just was going through the packet before the meeting. I noticed that you had this here. Just a second then. All right, let's try this again. So this copy of it just includes the fact that our architect, Mark Zettler, and our third-party inspector from Veerbecker, Levi Sisbach, have both reviewed this document. You'll see here now, which is, again, very similar item, that this has the certification amount here of $45,721.60. Neither one of them had any concerns about anything that was in this pay request that shouldn't be paid out at this time. Cindy did a good job of providing a general understanding of it, but you'll see here that a lot of it was, as she explained, plumbing's, HVAC stuff, the floor was poured, and then finally the biggest thing is they did start framing out the room. So you'll see a lot of 2x4 stick timber in there now. And so at this point, they feel it's very appropriate that we go ahead and pay this pay request.
Thank you.
This
This
is AJ, I make a motion to pay request number 5 for the Welcome Center for a total of $45,721.60.
Second, Tanya.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
John,
Aye.
Tanya,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
AJ.
Aye.
Todd Kirking,
Right.
Todd Spath,
Aye.
and Cindy.
Aye.
All right. Item number 9 is appointment of Randy Skinner to the Tourism Commission for 1-year term expiring 4/30/2027, replacing Catherine Ashley Wright. And I don't see Randy here, but I know Cindy
Yeah, we've talked. Yes.
came
oh.
with, recommended that Randy was interested, and I've worked with Randy before. I think she'd do a wonderful job.
Catherine lives in Lafarge. Mostly she doesn't come to Utopia much. She usually does the stuff in Lafarge. So it was a hassle for her to come in. And she's been on for a really long time. Before I was on, she's been on. But before COVID, I don't know when she got on. So she was anxious to get off. And Randy Skinner was willing to come on. Randy, like you said, will do an excellent job. So I would ask your approval. Randy.
This is Tanya. I'll make a motion to approve Randy Skinner to appointment to Tourism Commission for 1 year, expiring 4/30/27.
Todd, I'll second it.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Catherine did a wonderful job. I think also was always very, very attentive, and yes, so I'd like to thank her for her time. So, yeah. All right, item number 10, review and approval of Library Vibrant Spaces Grant Contract for Project Furniture.
So Nate said to maybe give you just a brief update on where we are with the Vibrant Spaces Grant. It's been a while, and so I'll just give you a 30-second little recap. In 2025, the library and the city received a Vibrant Spaces Grant from the WEDC. And what our intention to do with the grant was to put a spotlight on the murals in town, the exterior murals. So the Vibrant Spaces Grant funds a new mural at the library and helps us create the Viroqua Mural Walk, which will be really a loop starting at the library. And there's 8 murals from the library into the downtown and then back to the library. Each mural location will have a sign that is part of the Talking Trails contract. So when someone comes up, they can scan the QR code and it will tell the participant who the artist is and what the mural represents. Talking Trails, which was one of the first contracts that you approved, has been really amazing. They've reached out to every single mural artist, have interviewed them, and have wrote a script. And each of the artists have agreed to record the script. So when you go to the mural, it will say, "Hi, my name is blank, and I'm the artist on the Driftless Cafe. I painted the fish," and it will talk about the fish. And so it's really interesting. And so that recording process is happening very soon. Tonight, this is the third contract that you'll be looking at. The first two that you approved, the first one was for Talking Trails, which is the company that is recording the scripts and the audio for the participation. You also have approved the fence that will be installed at the library out in our courtyard. Tonight, this is the quote from the library store for the furniture that will be going out into the courtyard. The courtyard is going to be transformed from what I'm just calling basically a cement slab with 6 flower pots to this really beautiful space with nice furniture and a mural. And we're getting shade because it is so hot out in that space. It just gets direct sun. There is no shade. So this is from the library store. This quote is for $24,263, which is under budget. Our budget that we went into with our contract was for $25,000 for furniture. So it's coming in just a smidge less. It's expensive. The furniture needed to be stuff that did not have to be stored during the winter. We can't store this furniture inside the library. And it also needed to be what is called weighted furniture because it gets very swirly in that courtyard. And my fear was a chair would end up on Rock Avenue through a library window, something. And so I didn't know anything about weighted furniture before, but now I do. So this brings in chairs, tables, really nice seating for people with shade. And I think this is going to be quite a splash when the project is done. The contract with the library store would have this being installed in May because we hope that the Viroqua Mural Walk can begin on June 1st. I also provided Nate with a document if you have the budget document, if you want to just share that. If not, it's okay. So this is just kind of a recap of where we started with this project and where we are currently. The top of there you go, where it says 2025 estimates. These are the numbers we provided to the WEDC when we applied for the grant. So the total was $49,913. I'm not sure why we felt it was a good idea to work with 9 separate vendors on this project when we first submitted, but that's where we were. Since then, now if you see at the bottom, 2026 actual costs, we've whittled it down to working with 4 vendors, which seems much easier and much more manageable. So you have already approved the Talking Trails contract, the Phillips fencing contract. This is the library store contract, which we basically took multiple vendors and just decided to work with one singular vendor, the library store. And in the name, they are library people. So they understand what we're looking for. And the final contract will come through soon. This is with the artist, Sarah Peterson from Lucid Painting. We're starting to work with her now. We have the first draft of what the library mural will look like. It was provided a glimpse to the library board in February. And so we just have a little tweaking to do. It's pretty amazing. I'm excited to share it with you when we get to that contract point. But tonight will be contract 3 for the library store at $24,263. If you can see, the entire budget for the project was, all we could do was $50,000. That was the grant limit. So when we applied, we came in at $49,913, and now we're down to $49,310. So we're a little bit under budget. We're right in there, and feeling really good about the project.
Gina, where's the mural going to be?
It's in the courtyard. So if you look at our courtyard, we have walls on the south side and the north side. When we first started this project and I met with the artist, she asked what I wanted. I said I had no idea. I was totally blank. And she said, okay, I'll come back. And she's proposing a mural on both the north side of our courtyard wall as well as the south side. And it's pretty spectacular. So This is an old version.
Yeah, so this isn't it, but just for reference of the
Yeah.
library space, this was just a stand-in, so this is not what the mural will look like. But this is the south wall,
Yep.
correct?
Yep,
And then
correct.
juxtaposed to the other side, which you can't see kind of off camera, is the north side, so we'll sort of be, the space will be sandwiched between two murals.
Yes, and that's the fence. It will not have those sharp points, I guess, at the top. It's a flat surface. When I was looking at fences, that's what Chief Burris said. Please do not have anything where someone can get impaled on a fence. So we kept it flat, which is good. And then we'll have that kind of furniture, very bright, very vibrant. We didn't go with a pergola, which is shown here. We went with some standalone, very large shades that can be moved around. Any kind of shade is going to make a huge difference. I think this is going to be a spectacular place once we get away from just that concrete slab into some beautiful color with furniture, the mural, and then our planters.
What is the furniture made of, Trina? Is it cement or fiberglass or wood or
No, I think, oh boy, Todd, you're
some
testing me
kind of
now.
composite maybe?
Yeah, I know it's very heavy because my fear was it would blow. I don't know off the top of my head.
Doesn't matter.
I know
Just
the
curious.
or the not the grant. The quote doesn't give the specific types of materials, but they're not gonna they're not gonna move, which is important. Yeah. And you can see the colors. There's some blue, some orange. So we have yellow, just a bunch of really vibrant, cool colors. So we've told all contractors that everything needs to be in place in early May. The only exception will be the mural because our artist is very busy and has many mural projects in the area. So she's going to do our mural in July. She figures if the weather holds, everything is good, she'll be able to finish it in about 3 weeks. And she's really excited and is encouraging people to stop by and watch her paint and talk about her creation. And so that should happen in July.
Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, this is Steve. I make a motion that we approve the library Vibrant Spaces grant contract for the future project.
The amount on that was 24,263.87.
Yes.
Cindy, I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Tanya,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
AJ.
Aye.
Todd Kirking,
Aye.
Todd Spath.
Aye.
Cindy
Aye.
and John.
Aye.
Right, moving on to item number 11, discussion with possible action on purchase of a field drag for Park and Rec.
What is going?
You good?
Yeah. Sure, the PowerPoint works. So we just wanted to ask the council for money from the CIP in regards to the field drag. As you guys currently know, and we understand with the CIP, it's on hold, but we had this in last year in regards to the CIP, and we, like I said, we understand that it's on hold, but going into the baseball year, we're gonna get extremely busy here. We'll start this month dragging fields. And then we go all the way to August and continue to prep fields into October just so they don't overgrow and have weeds. So if you guys know a little bit about our department, we have 3 pieces of equipment, a BX, zero turn, and an old, probably 10 to 15-year-old John Deere riding lawnmower that we currently use to drag the fields. Last year it had some issues and we had to drag with the zero turn or the BX or the golf cart we have. Won't get into the golf cart, that's another issue. But again, we're doing all we can to continue to use the equipment we have. And it's getting harder and harder. With John Deere, we use that to mow as well. But there's some days we have to drag the fields. and we can't get to mowing, and vice versa. We have to, you know, pick and choose what we're gonna do and when we're gonna do it. Regarding the baseball fields, we drag those sometimes 2, 3 times a day, depending on the number of games. So we're asking you guys to consider, opening up the CIP budget for us to purchase this 3-wheel drag. We have 2 quotes. This is a hard piece of equipment to find different vendors. So I reached out to 2. You'll see 3 on there. 2 are from the same company. One's just a sit down like you just saw on the screen. One's a stand up. We compared them. So it's the Sam Pro, the red one that you just saw. And then there's a Smithco. John Deere used to make them. We can't find a dealership that made them. So couldn't reach out to them. But Dustin's here to talk a little bit because he compared them. So I won't steal his thunder, and he can kind of compare the 2.
Sure.
And why we decided to go with the Sam Pro.
Yep, we did decide to go with the Sand Pro, which is a Toro machine. We've had Toro machines in the past, snow blowers, hand trimmers, stuff like that. We've always had pretty good luck with them. Toro is also now, or I should say, the Agri Center now is a Toro dealer. They don't sell that model specifically, but they are able to kind of help us with maintenance and ordering parts, stuff like that. So all in all, the Sand Pro did come out a little cheaper. It is missing a few things that you would get with the Smithco. It is still completely plug and play. We'll be able to use it the day we get it. We won't need any extra attachments or anything for it, but that just because of that, the familiarity with the brand was a big reason. And the other thing is, they're both 3 wheels drags. Obviously, the Smithco is only 2-wheel drive, so the 2 back wheels. The Sand Pro is all 3-wheel drive, which will just give us better flexibility driving it to places, getting on different fields, stuff like that. So.
And the other advantage to this, currently we use the John Deere riding lawnmower, and we just have a couple drags in the back. So there's not a good spot for that, the drags to go on the John Deere. This is all inclusive. So hydraulics, you lift it, you can drive, and then when you get on the field, you put it down. So we're not taking time to switch out the nail drag or the steel drag and jumping off the mower, you know, reattaching it. Everything's kind of in place. Like Dustin said, it comes standard. We could just go and do it. There are attachments down the road that you could, you know, kind of make it your own and what we really need on the field. But day one, we could go out and drag the field and we won't have any problems with, you know, attachments and all that. So again, we're asking council to approve this so we can get started on that. And it is the Sand Pro. I know Dustin had mentioned the Smithco came in cheaper, but that is the 2-wheel drive. The Sand Pro is the 3-wheel drive. I did talk, I know Seth had a question with the Legion. I did talk to them asking if they would help with purchase of this. At this time, they don't feel comfortable with the purchase of this because they're also helping us with field material and a couple other baseball improvements. But they said down the road, if there's an attachment that we feel that we need, they would consider helping us with buying more attachments for this piece of equipment.
I have a couple of questions. Can it do anything else? If you got some other attachments, could it do something else other than drag the field?
We would probably use it as something else. I think there's a push blade on it.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So playgrounds, we could probably use it at, depending on the situation, like pushing wood chips around. We'd probably use it for that. I don't know if it would aerate fields or anything like that, but there are probably possibilities that we definitely could use it.
And how long do you think it'll last?
This one would last probably 15 to 20 years. I've seen a lot of baseball organizations, they buy it and they run it until it can't run any longer.
Do they have hydraulic down pressure then, depending on the hardness of the field that you can?
That I
On the-
don't
on the
know. I
drag?
have to check on that. I don't know if
They
you
do.
read that.
Okay.
Yes, yep.
Yep.
All hydraulics.
Good.
Would the intention be to just drive that from Park Bowl down to the fields by the school and back?
Yeah, so
Okay.
currently, if you guys
Won't
don't
be any
know,
loading it.
we maintain the two fields during the summer months and the spring months. We maintain the two Park Bowl fields, Polo and Ebbets, and Mason and Rue. So yes, this would save us time. We would just take this on the road on the side like we do currently with the John Deere and go to the fields. And then be able to mow with the John Deere places that we can get to. So again, we're a small department. We're trying to find equipment that will help us better do our jobs and make things easier. So that's the biggest reason for this one.
For everybody. For the capital improvement plan, you know, Kale mentioned this a couple different times that we've been sort of stuck in a large holding pattern because of unknowns with the landfill, which turned out to be a very prudent move because what we thought was originally going to be a maybe $500,000 to $700,000 project has now blossomed into something much worse than that. And so we're going to need to take another hard look at the capital improvement plan. What I have in front of you was the breakout of what the 2025B debt issuance was. So this is a debt that we've already issued, that we're available to us. This spreadsheet may seem familiar to you. And essentially what it does is outlines the tentative plan that we had for this. The top items for the most part have all been committed and purchased. So you see there the dump truck body purchased, it's out there doing its thing. The salt shed is built, Center Avenue is on the verge of being fully completed. Landfill phase 1 remediation is for the most part complete. Eckert Playground is about to go up at the end of the year. And then a handful of IT projects. What is outstanding for discussion are the items that include the yellow cells, the highlighted yellow where it says requiring further discussion. And it had always been sort of allocated about $90,000 for other park improvements. In this case, it was other park equipment. And the machines and equipment that Kale and Dustin are speaking about were highly sort of ranked as on the initial draft capital improvement plan, mostly for the cost efficiency that would come to the Park and Rec department. And I mean cost efficiency in terms of staff time efficiency. One of the biggest challenges that we have as a city right now, and Sarah can probably attest to this as well, is that we have new buildings. We've expanded our municipal footprint, but a lot of these new buildings have more green space, more parking lot, things that we have to maintain. And, you know, the departments are rising to the challenge, but that doesn't make it a challenge for maintaining all of our grounds. And so by having some of, you know, this field drag, what it would do is it would be more staff time efficient, because I think this piece of machine can drag a field in about a third of the time as the other one. And if they're doing that multiple times a day, that staff time adds up. Not to mention the fact that it frees up the John Deere for other duties. So that was part of what, to me at least, said, you know, I know the capital improvement, we still have to go through it again and figure out which programs come off the list due to the landfill. But this is a fairly small item, $30,000 in the grand scheme of things. And if it's going to help us save staff time to make sure they can get around to all of the properties and improve the maintenance of the parks, it would be something worth considering. So I'll sort of leave it at that unless you guys have anything else you want to add.
I can attest to being at a lot of different tournaments last year, ball tournaments, and there's some cities that have 2 of them, you know, and they run them between the games and they're very efficient. Yeah. So. Not that I'm advocating for 2 of them, but.
We got other needs.
I don't have a problem with the request, but coming on, you know, later to this issue of the CIP kind of being outstanding, I guess I would just like to have an understanding of what we're gonna say if another department comes up and says, well, I really need this. So if we approve this tonight, I would like to know when we're gonna talk about the rest of it.
It's a good question. Essentially, what we've been doing is a stopgap CIP. As much as we would like to have the full analysis done, it wasn't until recently that, and even now, we're still designing the project for the landfill, so we don't know what the true cost of that is. And so you can choose to wait if you'd like. I get that, because you'd like to have more of the discussion. But part of the reason of moving this forward is that park maintenance season is quickly approaching, and the sooner we get this stuff, the sooner we can start saving staff dollars, and making sure that all of our parks get kept up. But I would say, we certainly want to complete the capital improvement plan this year.
So the plan is to allocate those funds as they're designated up there. It's just we're not allocating them. We're just doing it slowly over time.
Yeah, one by one, slowly over time.
We're not reallocating them to the landfill.
Not necessarily. I mean, it's $205,000 that's up there left to be outstanding. $205,000 isn't necessarily going to
Okay.
make or break the landfill conversation at this point.
If we're still allocating it as it's written up there, then I have no problem.
It's some of those things. I mean, so what I say, if you would like as a council to have a discussion on the remaining items that were tentatively put up there, we can do that, because all those, certainly the other department projects are things like a speed board and an allocation to the community room project. And those things have already generally been sort of, I've gotten the sense that people are on board with those. It's just a matter of, there hasn't been as much push necessarily from those departments to get those. Although I think they would all like them. I think they were all patiently waiting. And again, I think the reason this one's coming up versus the other ones is that the challenge of grounds maintenance has been very front and center year after year for, I would say, the last 2 years. That part of this is because of cost efficiency, but part of it is because I feel bad about the state of some of our properties. And this is a way to gain time so that City Hall can be properly attended to, and the police station, which sometimes gets a little shaggy, and we're trying to make sure we're being good property owners like we expect everybody else today. So that's part of the reason for that, just moving this forward. But I, as much as anybody else, want to get the plan solidified, and I'm hoping to do it in the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay, no, I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Well, this is Seth, and I would make a motion that we would utilize CIP funds to invest in the Toro Sand Pro 3-wheel drag for the total of $29,399.81.
Todd, I'll second the motion.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Steve,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
AJ,
Aye.
Todd Kirking,
Aye.
Todd Spath,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and Tanya.
All right, we will move on then to item number 12, which is discussion with possible action on purchase of a UTV for Park and Rec.
The bottom one with not all those attachments. No. So this also came up at the Park and Rec Committee. We started with the Sand Pro because that was our biggest need. Again, in the CIP, we had a 0-turn and a UTV. We had the discussion, and after the 3-wheel drag, UTV came up, and that's still a big need for us due to the equipment needs that we have. We feel like this one would definitely help us as a whole department in regards to equipment allocation. Same thing, maintaining properties, dual purpose transportation of staff. Currently, we use our F-250 to water Main Street flowers. So we're waiting on that truck to do other things and get staff around to all the properties that we maintain. If we receive this, we would use this as watering the Main Street flower baskets. This current model is a longer box with a hydraulic lift. We looked at other ones. None of them make a longer box. You'll see the Toro, that's a short box. So depending on the water size or the tank on our water size, we thought the bigger box would be a better use, not to mention that we could use it for field material, dirt, gravel, rocks, moving stuff. Again, right now we currently use our truck or we try to fit stuff in the golf cart. And again, if you guys want to have a discussion on that golf cart, please come see me. But this would be an enclosed cab with 2 doors with heat during the winter. And then the summer we would remove the doors. Over time, it would be something that we could maybe put a plow on and plow hopefully the current trails we have or the new trails that the city is planning. So it's multi-purpose for our department. I know Dustin wants to talk about like just currently what we're doing right now, because again, we have 2 mowers. So we're doing a lot of work right now with the BX, with the cab and snowplow on. But if we had down the road, if we had the snowplow on that, we could almost be getting the BX ready to mow grass and then use this to plow snow like this week. Like we're ready to kind of transition, but we can't transition yet. So, but again, big thing, we could use this to water flowers and save on the truck. But you want to jump in and see if I missed anything?
Yeah, we were just talking about that today, actually. With the weather coming up, we aren't able to take the cab and the plow blade off our BX tractor. The nice thing about Kubota, this included, they have tons of different implements that you can put on almost all of their tractors and vehicles. So if we have right now we have one trail size plow and one truck or road size plow. If we were able to get another trail size plow to fit on this, we would be able to take the cab and plow off our BX and use it for some of the mowing and kind of spring season stuff, dethatching, stuff like that. So it would just open up. We kind of have these bottlenecks at certain times of the year. It would kind of open that up for us in a lot of ways.
Yep. So again, a huge time saver and just a workhorse for the department. Like right now we're bringing tractors out in the fields. You know, the big John Deere tractor, it ruts up the outfield and infield. So we could dump material in this and run that out. Right now, we just don't have the proper equipment for everything that we're trying to do. So again, that's my ask to you. We're trying to get the proper equipment for everything we do within the city.
Can you talk about how you're able to drive the UTV on Main Street when we don't allow UTVs on Main Street?
Yeah, so I know Chief's back there and I've had conversations with him. This is a work vehicle. It'd be the same as us driving mowers down Main Street. Bobcats, I know the Public Works drives Bobcats, so it's a work function for the city. So it would be approved down the city. And we start at 6 o'clock. That's another thing, like that truck is pretty big. So we're trying to weave in and out of parked cars, and sometimes it's a hassle. Sometimes, you know, we're stretching cords. So we feel like if we could get this, we could get closer and it's not so hard. We would have lights on this, strobe lights and work lights. So we would light it up like a Christmas tree so people would be able to see us. So
You thought one person could probably do the job too, right? Which
Yeah.
would certainly help you too.
yes.
No,
Yeah, if needed, it would be a lot easier to park that, jump out, water it, you know, you're right there. So,
wanted to make sure everybody heard the Main Street thing.
Right.
But,
Along with that, kind of cut out the other night from the Parks and Rec meeting. Is there a discussion on would it allow younger individuals to do the watering, or we still have to
No,
be
it'd still be 17.
17? Yeah.
So that doesn't help us as much, but it would save if we only have to, have one person water.
Just for my knowledge, the tank for the watering of the flowers, do you guys pretty much empty that and then it can come out daily, or would you leave that?
So we've talked
In the
about that.
box.
Right now, our truck, we only have not even half that bed to utilize during the summer because it always stays in, because it's a 250-gallon tank. We feel like we could water flowers with probably 150-gallon tank and drop it all and then put it on a skid or something. And if we have to, remove it and then load up wood chips or put gravel in there. And then it would take a little more work for that, but we could utilize it more than just having a water tank in the back of the truck or the back of this.
Is it a steel bed on the bottom of it, steel on this one?
I'd have to go back. I believe so.
Yeah.
But.
Okay.
And this one did, again, have the hydraulic lift, so there's, it's rated for, I think it was, 1,200 pounds for sure, and so it's got a hydraulic lift.
Yeah.
Like right now, we put stuff in that golf cart and you can't even lift,
You'll use it for a lot more than you think you
Yeah.
will. The only thing is the Kubota tractor that you use to plow now, is that a 4-foot plow on that?
Yes.
And if you're ever thinking about replacing that and plow with this, would you get the same size plow to fit sidewalk? Cause they'll have.
Yeah, this one would have to probably stay on the trails or help with the parking lots. Like
Instead of
smaller
the-
parking lots.
Yeah, okay.
And that's something we
Yeah.
could talk with Public Works, if right now we have kind of two guys and then a part-time staff in the winter. And we have 2 pieces of equipment, so if we were to get a plow down the road, we could maybe help Public Works more.
Cause yeah, this would be too wide for sidewalks.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then talking with the other departments, if they would need to use it, I've talked with the chief, he would like to use it a couple times a year for events, and we'd definitely be willing to share. And, I think it would help the city as a whole, having this type of piece of equipment out there.
Guess I should ask how long this should last also. They last a really long time, I don't think.
You probably could answer better than that,
No,
but
gas
Is
is
it
last-
gas or diesel?
this one's diesel.
Yeah.
Yep.
They'll never wear it out.
Yeah, they last a
Yeah,
really
They'll
long.
never wear out. Yeah.
We maintain our equipment pretty good because we know how important they are. So if we maintain it, like Todd said, it should last a long time. And you'll see other quotes up there. Like I had said, the Kubota is that top one. The new John Deere came in a little overpriced because we got to install lights, but that's a short box. He did give us a quote on a 2024, but that's a short box, and the boxes are hand or electronic or electric lifts. And then we reached out to Toro on their Workmen, but again, it's a short box with hand dump.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody like to make a motion?
But Cindy, I'll make a motion. We get the Kubota for $28,977.48. I think it'll be an excellent tool for the Park and Rec.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Seth,
Aye.
AJ,
Aye.
Todd Kirking,
Aye.
Todd Spath,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Tanya,
Aye.
and Steve.
Hi.
All right, item number 13 is payment of the bills.
Make a motion, we pay the bills.
I don't second it.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
AJ.
Aye.
Todd Kirking,
Aye.
Todd Spath,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Tanya,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
and Seth.
Aye.
Second period.
Right. Sorry. Next is a closed session. So rather than jump right into that, we're going to move down to item number 16, which is the second period for public comment. So if any members of the public wish to make a comment before we go into closed session, now would be the time for that.
Carson, you making public comment or you?
Ah,
Oh,
all right.
gotcha.
Nobody in house.
That's it. Thanks.
Yeah. See you, Carson.
Yeah. Nobody online, man.
And nobody online. All right.
Nobody online wanting to make a public comment.
So then we'll move back to item number 14, which is possible closed session per Wisconsin statute 1985 1E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. This is regards to the fire contract with the towns.
Make a motion, we go into closed session.
AJ, I'll second.
Yeah, I think we'll get into closed session. Got a motion, a second. Roll call, please.
Todd Kirking,
Aye.
Todd Spath,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Tanya,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
and AJ.
All right. Well, Nate's shutting it down. We're going to take a quick 2-minute or 5-minute break. All right. We'll get the doors and we will hit the next one and get out of here. I don't know if I am. I said if we were out of here by like 7:45, I would. It's only 11. All right, item number 15, reconvene an open session with possible action on items discussed during closed session.
Make a motion, we approve the intergovernmental cooperation agreement between the city of Roqua and the towns of Roqua, Jefferson, and Franklin regarding fire and rescue services contingent on the city attorney's approval.
This is John, I'll second.
All right,
Approval or looking over.
got a
or
motion and
whatever.
a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Item number 17 is adjournment.
I don't make a motion to adjourn.
Steve, I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.
Good.